Alright, well, welcome back, Deb. I apologize, my battery died. This is going to get a little more complicated just because of having to hold and point and talk and film at a closer angle. But if we've been following along for other viewers that might not know what I'm talking about, this is the third video we're putting together about this. If you, I am assuming you have a working knowledge of tools, that you know how to work safely. I don't want anybody to go stitch their fingers, poke themselves with a needle. The machines are fairly heavy. I don't want you to drop them and hurt yourself. Everyone needs to exercise caution and have good common sense. So, again, this machine here is one that was serviced by a professional and was before I decided to start tinkering with them. We've been dealing with this mechanism. In the last video we looked at this piece out, and I'm sure you can recognize this reverse arm and this cam and this follower over here. And as we rotate this one, we can see that it pulls mechanisms out of the way so that it can start to move that cam stack in and out. And assuming that your machine is frozen, we're going to have to find a way to get in here and unstick it. Now, that small gear that I talked about that breaks easily, alright, if I can look, there's the screw that's here. There's also a screw down in here. Get a good angle on that. Okay, it's above this bar is a screw head right down here. This is the end of the axle shaft that you're turning. The little gear that breaks is behind here. It's deep inside of this. But the one that we need to concentrate on to lubricate that I've discovered is down and to the right, and it's behind this bar. So I'm going to see if we can simply move this out of the way. Give me just a second. Okay. I apologize for the little break there. I had to go investigate some things. There's a little retaining collar that's on here. It pries off, and it may destroy the ring pulling it off. I've always been able to straighten them. That one there was already started, so it just popped off by hand. But you'll need to pull it off with a screwdriver or a pair of pliers. I've always been able to straighten these and reuse them. So set that aside. Now this arm that goes from the reverse mechanism over to this reverse release and the cam follower, this here I'm going to rock back and forth a little bit and pull out. It will come free from a mechanism over here, and there's a little block that comes with it. Need to make sure we don't lose track of that. And the rest of the arm just pulls straight off. It always has in the past until I'm on film, of course. There we go. So here's this little block. We got to make sure we hold on to it. And there is a little finger that sticks out back here. That finger, when we put it back together, fits in that window. So we've got to make sure we leave room for that. Okay, now this I can kind of pull down out of the way. It is held in by a spring. It just floats on two pins, but it's held on by a spring here in the back, and I don't want to disturb it too much. And then if we can find a way to get that to follow the way that I want it to. No, it's not going to get out of the way. Okay. We're learning together here. Down inside of here, I'm not sure what this mechanism does, but there's another arm that goes from the upper part of this mechanism down underneath of and down in the middle of the machine. We're talking way back here. An arm that moves back here. I was hoping to get it out of the way, and it's not going to come out nicely. But my theory here, maybe if we pull this up, and if you had a free hand, that's the ticket right there. Okay, if you have a free hand, I'm having to hold the machine at the right angle, but you can hold this arm up. So let me get myself arranged. There we go, get my thumb down. Okay, now let's turn machine just a little bit, get us into the right light and position. Adjust the camera. Okay. Ah, there it is. It is that little round gear back there. See that spring? It's above that spring. So what we have to do is we have to direct the heat from the hair dryer back onto that, and then slowly begin to spray lubricant at it so that it soaks in. And then while you're doing that, ever so gingerly, rock that knob on the front back and forth. And that should begin to free that up. Now if it doesn't, or if you're concerned that it's not going to let go nicely, by all means let me know and we will take that mechanism out of the machine. I've got another machine behind me here that's already disassembled. And we'll just use that as our learning machine. But there it is back there. Now, you also asked about the thread take-up slide, and just to keep this video moving and not move into 4 videos for this here. Over on this end of the machine, this barrel here is moving back and forth when I run the machine. That is what is attached to that thread take-up lever right there. That and that barrel are attached to each other. So, if I take hold of the camera here, we look inside a little bit. I believe that the gears, the bushing, excuse me, that is talked about frequently. Alright, excuse me while I fight with my camera. Alright. There are bushings inside of this that ride on that shaft in there. It's hard to tell, but there's a spring on that shaft to help hold this out that direction. And as this rotates around, that stuff right in there you see moving up and down, that's the crank slide. Okay, and we see right in there that bronze bushing. I believe that is what they're referring to as the slide, because that piece, that bronze bushing that's in there, right there, is sliding back and forth on the arm. Yep, there it is again. Get the light in the right spot. There it is again inside of there. Yep, see it slide back, forward, back. Now, that also is sliding around on that bushing there. Now, I've never witnessed these go bad. I certainly believe that they would. They see a lot of use and probably not a lot of re-oiling. But Bill or John would know better if those are some of the bearings that are permanently lubricated. But you wouldn't want to neglect those when you're servicing your machine. The other parts on the end of this are actually what's running the needle bar up and down. That's what this end here is doing, is running a needle bar up and down. Okay, Deb, I'm going to say that that's about all I can tell you over this section. If you were to run into other issues that are not answered here, then by all means, I would do my best to answer them for you. don't be afraid of the machines. Your fingers will be kind of oily. You'll smell a little bit like kerosene when you're done, but you know, that's just the mark of somebody who's not afraid to get some work done. So, yeah, without the light on, it gets really dark in there. All right. Nope. This right in here, that's the reverse mechanism. That's kind of fun to watch. Let's see if we can get the light on there and free up one hand to operate that. When I push that down, when it's up, there's a set of blocks that are behind this spring. It's kind of hard to see with the spring in the way. There's a block back there, and as the machine turns, that block come out, and okay, block goes in, block comes out. When you push in on the reverse lever, it's now dumping that block the other direction. And I haven't myself taken the time to take one of these apart far enough, remove the motor to watch how that mechanism works, but it's one of the more fascinating things about the machines, in my opinion. The reverse mechanism, or the two-speed mechanism, is that stack of black gears back there. They are the basically some of the only nylon or non-steel. Well, you know, I'm not even going to say that, but they're some of the only plastic components in the machine. And when you run the machine from high gear to low gear, you're pulling out here, and come on, get the white balance to work. I pull out, it pulls that gear up into place and intersects a different set of teeth than it does when it is pushed in. That sets up those other teeth there. The belt tensioner is down low on this one. They changed the belt tensioner a little bit, but that white wheel there in the center is the belt tensioner, that little one. There is one more inspection plate also I'll point out. It's that silver plate down there. It comes off from the bottom and allows you to oil some of the bottom of the machine. We can take that off here real quick. Bear with me. Okay, so we'll lay the machine on its side. And this plate comes off with two screws. One of the screws can stay in there. I'm not left-handed, so this is a little awkward. Did my dad proud there. Southpaw. Okay, so I got those loose. This door will slide down and then pivot, and now I've got access into the bottom of the machine to see all those moving parts. So, well, I am going to button this up off camera and let these upload so that if you have questions, you can ask me before I do button it up for operation. Alrighty, thanks, Deb. Bye-bye.